occurs later down in the agenda, later on in the agenda. Tonight, I think that the electronic smoking devices is probably the issue that's filled most of the room. I know there's another controversial one on this agenda as well, but with unless you have an objection, I'd like to suspend the agenda and let everyone have their say on that, item number 7, and then come back to item number 6 and we're done. Is there any objection from you all? Okay. Let's do that and move on to item number 7, and we will return to item number 6. Clerk, attorney, please remind me that we skipped item number 6 if I try to move on to 8. Item number 7 is discussion on ordinance number 1213-2013 defining electronic smoking devices and prohibiting their use in city buildings. This has got my name beside it, but I'm going to rely on, again, Ms. Choate and Ms. Dobbins to come up and explain a little bit about this ordinance. I've been out of town for about 4 days, but Facebook has kept me very much aware that there are some misconceptions about what this ordinance hopes to accomplish. I do want to reassure everyone here that the intent, and we'll make sure that Val and Carol back me up on this, is not to implement a ban citywide. It's simply a way to say you can't make use of those devices in city-owned facilities. It wasn't something that I dreamt up or they dreamt up. It was something that the State Department of Health put together and sent to you all. And I suppose it needs to be said, since we just got the oversized check earlier, that some funding is tied to us passing these kinds of policies. So it's not something that was homegrown, so to speak, as far as the origin of the ordinance itself. It was something that we're being asked to pass by, what is the group at Oklahoma City? I know it's the State Department of Health. Is it the TSEC group?
It's Tobacco Settlement Endowment.
Right, okay.
And
that's the one I could remember. Okay.
Right.
Well, tell us a little bit about the ordinance and what you hope to accomplish with it.
And thank you for saying that, because we, as our job as tobacco control is, from TSEC, they send down these ordinances and that they ask for us to propose in the cities, and it's about us aligning and agreeing if we do, or just presenting it to you guys. It's not about shoving anything down your throat. We're very considerate of that. And for example, first thing off the bat, in order for us to be certified healthy at an excellent level for a city, the first thing they ask us for is to add e-cigarettes or electronic smoking devices to our ordinances that have to do with tobacco. So anyways, I'll start with Mayor, Council. As most of you know, I'm Val Dobbins. I chair the Cherokee County Communities of Excellence Tobacco Control Program. I'm here this evening to request that the City of Tahlequah add electronic smoking devices to the City Ordinance 10-426. It's all about clean air. It's not about shutting down e-cigarette shops. We're not against that at all. Northeastern State University, Tahlequah City Hospital, Cherokee Nation, and most recently Tahlequah Public Schools have adopted policies that prevent the use of electronic smoking devices on their campuses. In addition, Walmart Corporation has adopted this policy also. We are asking the city to join with these institutions in making our community a safe and healthy place to live. We just want to promote that comprehensive message of health. We want to clarify again that we are not against the sale of electronic smoking devices, and that the ordinances we are discussing tonight pertains to the use of electronic smoking devices and clean air on city-owned properties only. Do we have any questions?
Just very quickly. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Council.
I would like to ask if you could further explain why e-cigarettes are under the umbrella of normal cigarettes.
Well, they define them as a nicotine delivery device, and nicotine comes from tobacco, and although there is a place for e-cigarettes, we think in cessation, and that there are some good purposes for that. We also see that we're talking about clean air. We're not even talking about the use or the sell-out. It's all about clean air. And we've worked so hard to get our parks and our city buildings tobacco-free. And again, it's about the air that we're breathing. It's less toxic, quite a bit so. They say like 80% less toxic. but to us, clean air is 100% clean air.
Just very quickly, my question revolves around, and I can beat up on both sides of this argument. There's no data to show that it's successful for cessation programs, and there's no data to show that it hurts air quality. It's simply vapor. Do you know of any studies, either way, good or bad for either approach, that are going to be released soon about either of those topics, cessation effectiveness or
No,
air quality?
There is, I mean, and it is a cessation. I mean, do you want to comment about that?
I mean, I know Drexel University had a professor kind of comment on some things, but I know the FDA, WHO have been relatively silent for them on this topic, and I'm just curious if you knew of any other data that was out there.
As far as data, electronic cigarettes are relatively new, so there aren't a lot of studies that have been done at this point. The studies that have been completed show that there are chemicals that are emitted out into the air, and nicotine is emitted out into the air, and that is toxic. There are some studies here that we have done. I see people shaking their heads no, that is not right. We know that when you smoke a cigarette, that the contaminants go out into the air at an 80% rate. When you smoke an e-cigarette, it's at 20%. So there's about 20% emission of a toxic chemical. Like Val said, we'd like to see it 100%.
It's all about clean air. I mean, it's not about smoke. This is not against the smoker, and it's not against the people that sell e-cigarettes. This is just about clean air and promoting health. And we have other reasons. We do feel like that it may glamorize it to youth, and we don't want that. We know that they put flavors in along with the nicotine, and I'd like an education on that, maybe from some people who are in the audience. Do they feel like that? Is that a way that a child might become addicted to nicotine if it's mixed with flavors? We're all learning here, so.
I would, as far as studies go, I was just made aware of a study, it's a tobacco survey, youth survey, that e-cigarette experimentation and recent use doubled among our U.S. middle and high school students during 2011-2012, resulting in an estimated 1.78 million students having ever used e-cigarettes as of 2012. Moreover, in 2012, an estimated 160,000 students who reported never using or ever using e-cigarettes had never used conventional cigarettes. So we're finding that our youth are using the e-cigarettes.
Are you through? I'm sorry. I didn't hear. I apologize. Go ahead and continue with your statement, and then I'm going to get to some questions they may have.
And we always just want to bring it back to this is just about clean air and just.
We're not
Sorry, no. This is about clean air. It's about how that we can't smoke in city-owned buildings or in the park, and we just feel like that if we need to eat e-cigarettes.
If I may use an example, we probably have several people that use vaping devices or e-cigarettes in this room. So can you imagine if everyone that wanted to use e-cigarettes, you have a right to do that in our city council meeting. A child, some of our SWAT kids could come in here and use e-cigarettes.
You're not supposed to be doing it unless you're 18. They don't sell to anybody under 18. No different than cigarettes.
I know,
They don't
that's
sell to
your
anybody
choice,
under
and
18.
Carol, let me go ahead and interject very quickly. I see hands going up, and I don't want a lot of back and forth. We get out of control really quickly. Sir, the orange shirt.
Isn't it pretty much true that parts
Well,
per
I'll
million
repeat it.
of toxic gases coming off legal vapor cigarettes are less than 1% of what a charcoal briquette puts out?
That's probably
Isn't it
correct.
also true that right after the state of Colorado approved marijuana, did not the teen use triple overnight? It's the same every time. Anytime there's something new, teenagers are gonna jump head first. into
Sir, if
it.
you'll do me a favor, if you've got more than a question, I'd ask you to come to the podium and make your statement there.
I'll leave it at that.
Okay, could you do me a favor and identify yourself? Will you have everyone do that as well? I'm going to try to play loose with the rules since everyone can't get in and out easily.
Yeah,
But-
Doug Renfro.
Doug Renfro, okay.
And you know, I agree with what he said. I agree with what he said. And it's just about the addictive quality of tobacco and how it kills more people than all drugs combined. And that's our main concern, is addiction to tobacco. Yeah. But nicotine is the tobacco product. It's also in.
Hold on, ma'am, please stop making comments from the audience. I am going to get very in there very quickly if that happens. If you do want to speak, you'll get plenty of time, I promise. I saw a hand go up for a question. Did it go back down? That's okay. Val, Carol, if you all want to wrap up any other comments, and I'll try to provide, and somebody hiding from, I'm sorry, yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Stacy Matlock. You say your Clean Air Act in the parks. Explain to me, our roads are within feet of the parks. Is that car not ruining your clean air? Yes.
We don't have any, I'm not quite understanding what you're saying.
Well, I do,
Emissions, car emissions.
Okay, so
We
you're,
don't have something like California where we have smog, under a code.
But we have studies that prove that secondhand smoke does cause disease.
I didn't hear
And our laws is about kids smoking cigarettes.
well, again, before we start going into too much of a back and forth, I think that basically the statement was that they're trying to make a parallel between car emissions and tobacco products. And while I'm not entirely in agreement with the logic, it's one of those things where we're going to try to give everybody, do you have a specific question that you'd like to ask before we wrap up?
I just don't understand how clean air, how you can have cars within feet of the parks and still have clean air. Whether I'm smoking a cigarette or my e-cigarette in that car, if I'm not, if you pass the.
Ma'am, if you're going to make a statement, go ahead and come up to the podium, please. If you've got a question, that's okay, but.
Well, my question is I don't understand how you can have clean air, but yet have cars going by. Explain that to me, because you're getting a bad emissions. And we don't have a smog type thing here in Oklahoma like you may have in California. So many cars here, you get behind them and you're in your vehicle and you're like, whoa. from the smoke.
Okay, so your question is,
So how
what's the
can you have
difference?
clean air in our parks as long as our parks are about nobody, and we simply pull up in
Okay,
the park right to the edge?
please, that's the end of the question. Do you
Well,
have,
when you're talking about car emission, I don't know that there's any studies that show that car emission can cause some of the illnesses that.
yes, sir? I'm going to allow Carol and Val to wrap up their comments and then,
Again, I just want to bring it back to that we're just promoting health and it's about clean air. It's not about you got to smoke e-cigarettes.
thank you.
And it's on, it is just city-owned property that we're talking about, not restaurants, not businesses, city-owned property.
And if you want to look at the back page, there's lots of exemptions listed, the bars, the privately owned businesses. Those are not city owned. You guys can do all that you
David
want.
knows all you want.